guest today is Holly Porter. She is a transformational leader, keynote speaker, best-selling author, and creator of 12 startup companies. She is the CEO of Retreat RnR, a prop tech and concierge platform helping retreat leaders and entrepreneurs build profitable, purpose-driven experiences. After surviving a 70-day near-death experience with COVID-19, Holly turned her story into a mission to help others align spirituality with strategy through her shift framework: surrender, hope, intuition, faith, and transformation. Welcome to our show, Holly.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Having launched multiple companies, what do you find are the deeper leadership lessons that only experience and even perhaps failure can teach us?
I think the best lessons I've had it has been from creating resilience and having to fail and wipe yourself off, dust yourself off, whatever you do, and just get back to work. And to me, failure isn't an option. It's like, oh, that didn't work. That doesn't mean I failed at it. It means I just found some way that didn't work. So for me, it's just keep on.
We find a lot of burnout, especially in top leadership positions. How can success become more sustainable in your view?
I think the biggest thing that people miss is self-care and realizing, I've coached for years to people, and you call yourself a business coach, but really it ends up being a life coach. All coaches are really life coaches because something is usually off in a life and what we're doing in our day-to-day things that's affecting our business and our profitability. And so I think just taking care of yourself and finding things that light you up to keep you going I'm a workaholic and not as much anymore. When I got put in the hospital, I slowed down a lot, and then the long COVID came after that. And so I've had to work through days where it's just like my mind might be wanting to keep going, but my body's not. And listening to that inner voice, and all of us have that gut feeling of something's right or something's wrong. And I think when we don't take the time to listen to it is when things get off track.
And you've obviously also had that challenge of taking care of a big family. How did you manage to align that with your business challenges?
I look back and I think I have no idea, because let me just paint the picture. So we had seven children at one time living in our home. When we got married, we combined eight kids between the ages of 6.5 and 19. So seven were in the house at one time, and we were running three or four companies. Of my husband had a construction company, very busy, and I had a salon, and then I did real estate, and then I had a fundraising company. And those were all going on. Besides all that, I was president of a Rotary International Club, and I was over 1,400 soccer kids, which I kind of got in because of our fundraising company. Um, yeah, and our kids played soccer. I mean, they were involved in things. And so I look back and I'm just like, I have no idea how I did it. I just kept going. But I will say the biggest lesson that I wish I would have learned earlier was the presence, being present, because I would be on the soccer field. I'm showing up for my kids. I got four kids playing on four different fields. I'm doing real estate deals but I'm there at their game. But was I really? I wasn't present. And so I feel like that was what I missed. And I missed out on a lot of things. I'll hear my kids telling stories now, and I'm just like oblivious to what they're talking about. And that, sure, I have lots of regrets about that. But when you're in survival mode, you don't see it differently. And so my ideas for people and advice would be always to stop and smell the roses and look at the bigger picture of things and be present in the moment, live in the moment, and it can change everything for you.
Which is also one of the hardest things to do, practicing being present at the present moment. By the way, most of our listeners are women, and many of them I know face the same challenges. So I think your
Yeah.
your advice is very valuable there. What
Yeah.
tips would you give, especially to single mothers?
One thing I've thought of that I wished I would have done more is we lived about 23 minutes out of town and it was all freeway. So when I was giving my children rides back and forth to things, what a great opportunity to find out how is your day and what's going on. And they're going to open up a lot more in an atmosphere like that, and they're captive. They can't walk away from you. I feel like I missed a lot of those opportunities because again, I was a busy real estate agent and had things happening or I was arranging appointments or whatever. And I think I missed a lot of that valuable time that I could have really got to know my children better in a better way. And so for a single mom, I can see, if you're the only parent, and a lot of times the other parent's not that involved, and or they're not from a day-to-day basis, and you're kind of handling everything. I've been a single mom. It's not the easiest thing, but I feel like just if you could listen to a few of those tips that I'm sharing, it can shift the energy around that and really just become a listener. I feel like there's so many teaching moments you can have being a listener and not being the one always reprimanding or giving that advice, or wait till it's asked for, or ask your child, are you open to some feedback on that, and get their permission, because it's really hard to be mad at somebody if they've asked for permission for you to be honest with them and you open up and you're honest, brutally honest sometimes. It's like you gave them permission to do that. So it seems like it's received a little bit better. Those are just some things I've thought of over the years that I wished I would have done differently. Under circumstances, I did the best I could with what I had and the knowledge I had and the experience that I had. Were one thing I remember my mom telling me, who raised 8, 9 children in my family, she always said, "This is my first time doing this. Kids don't come with an instruction booklet. I'm learning as we go. This is the first time for all of us." And so I think we need to remember that. Sometimes we judge our parents that they should have known. And well, how would they have known? They only had the example that was set for them. And sometimes that wasn't the best example. And they're just trying to do better than what they had.
I'm sure, because if I recall my own childhood, the most valuable time of the day was when we had our shared meal together. That's when
Yeah.
we talked about things. And the other day I was in a hotel in Munich and I saw this family, 2 kids, and all of them were on their iPhones. And I
Yeah.
thought, how sad.
Yeah, I think that'd be the best gift you could give your children is to, whether you're single or a family, all in a unit at home, sit at the table, have a basket, make something fun out of it, and have a basket, and everybody puts their phone in there. It goes off. They turn the ringer off and it goes in the basket until you're done eating. And it kind of, you'll probably get some pushback, especially from teenagers. But I think if you make it fun or make it some kind of a reward within that, so the memories attached to something happy, not a complaint session. It's not, let's get in there and who's going to pick on who today. I would say no, let's save that discussion for later, but at dinner I would make it a positive thing just so those memories are created.
Yeah, I think that's valuable advice, making it something positive and talking about positive things while you're having your meal. Now let's look at your own major challenge when you faced that near-death experience during COVID-19. What did that teach you?
Oh, the biggest lessons of my life, I'll tell you. When you're laying there in the hospital, because I was there for 70 days, I was on a ventilator about 52. I was in and out of a coma, probably 30. But when you're laying there, and I lost it several times. I lost all 5 senses. So they tie your hands to the bed. You lose taste and smell from COVID. I'm past legally blind. So if I didn't have my contacts or glasses, I couldn't see who anyone was unless they were right in front of my face. And then the ventilator took away like 90% of my hearing. And it just sounded like the Charlie Brown school teacher. Wah, wah, wah. That's what people sound like. So as you're laying there in your own head, and you're thinking, gosh, is this it? Like, is this the end? And then you start questioning all those limiting beliefs. Was I enough? Am I enough? Did I serve enough? Did I love enough? Did I leave a legacy? What kind of legacy am I leaving? And all those thoughts just keep running through. And so for me to have a near-death experience and then I didn't get a choice to come back. And honestly, for people that have lost loved ones listening, I would say if your loved one had that experience that I had, or any bits of it, oh my gosh, why would you want to come back to this? I mean, it's such a great place. It's so peaceful, it's so joyful, it's all love. And it's like, so I think if people get a choice and they choose not to come, don't have your feelings hurt because you would have done the same thing. And I didn't get to choose. I just got sent back. But I was told, a couple of specific things to do. And I feel like I also was taken away some of the memories from the experience that I later had a hypnosis session because I knew they were there. I knew there was more to the story, which was the biggest blessing that I did. I mean, hypnosis is amazing. And so the things I learned, I'm still learning. Like I feel like there's the 2 years after I got out of the hospital, all the health problems started stacking up. I was perfectly healthy walking into the hospital, zero drugs, walked down on 12 drugs, and slowly got off of those. But it just was a long road back. It still is. I'm just barely now like coming out of another flare and relapse with my body where your pain's 4 to 7 all day long. And I was hoping I'd skip it this year, but every year this time it just seems like for weeks. And so it's a reminder. I feel like, I mean, God's my higher power, whatever that is for anyone else I respect. But for me, I feel like God put me in a coma at that time of my life to sit still, to listen to the direction I needed to hear. I was
And
probably a little
and
off track.
did God give you a specific task? Did you find yourself in that other dimension where you came back with much more clarity?
So yes and no. I feel like, God's not going to give us everything. We have to go and earn our way, I think too. So the two things I was told was to start a nonprofit, and I was given the name Adventure Bucket Wish, and I wasn't given the mission. It was just like, you need to start this nonprofit. Um, and so I created that. And then the second thing I just started a company. It wasn't incorporated yet, but it was called Retreat RnR. And I was really excited about it. I had pitched to another company to partner with them because they had a billionaire backer. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I don't have to go raise money. We'll just go. And I was told not to partner with them, that that wasn't the highest and best thing to do, which has been interesting over the last 4 years to see why. I didn't question it then. I'm looking back now going, wow, that sometimes you just get guidance or you do something and you don't know why. And later you look back and go, got it. And it was kind of that learning experience. And so within like the first 3 months, I incorporated both of those companies. I applied for a 501(c)(3) for the nonprofit. I was so sick. I was still on oxygen. I was a mess. I had 9 doctors. Who on earth has 9 doctors? I had so many things going wrong that I had specialists for everything, from going to having no records on me for medical stuff. So it was a wild ride. So I knew God's hand was in helping me get that done. And as soon as that got done, within like 2 to 3 weeks, I call it the 2 years of hell. I had the worst 2 years I hope I ever have. I mean, every bad day in your whole life, if you think about and times it by 100, that was the weight and the heaviness I felt every single day. Every relationship, almost, not all, felt jeopardized, felt like I repelled everybody. It was like, how do you come back from being where I was to this and then have to go through this? And for many of those days I prayed, that I would have died. I was just like, why did you save me to leave me in this? Like what is it? The question I should have said looking back now was, what is it I need to learn out of this to get through it faster? Like, and I think that's such a good thing to ask all of us when we're in a challenge or a hard time or a struggle with somebody or a relationship. What is it I need to learn out of this to get through it quicker? Like those are famous words I will remember.
It's such a hard question to ask someone who's gone through all that pain, all that physical and emotional suffering,
Yeah,
what it taught you.
yeah,
But there's one famous statement. I think it's from the 13th century mystic Meister Eckhart, who describes pain as a way of looking, a way of looking deeper, a way of
Mm,
looking within.
yeah. Well, it teaches you to have some resilience and it teaches you that you can do hard things. And we all can do hard things. A lot of people, I think they don't believe enough in themselves and they want to stay in that victim mode. Like the long COVID community was really hard for me to get into the Facebook groups, and I wanted to learn because we're learning together. The doctors didn't have answers for us. This was all new to everybody, the whole world. And the whole world suffered at the same time. I wasn't special in suffering through COVID. I just suffered maybe a little harder than most. But you know what? The gratitude's there because I would say 99% of the people that went through what I did didn't survive. So like there's gratitude for that. It's like you got sent back for a reason. I feel like it was like for me, I was handed a life Bible with the end of the story already there. I saw that, what it was supposed to be, what I'm creating. Maybe not everything, but you have the end of the story. Who gets that? I just have to go fill in all the in-between pages, which are my challenges, and those are the lessons I need to learn. Those are the relationships I need to build to get to the end of the story. And so yeah, there's so much gratitude there for so many things, and I'm glad I'm out of that 2 years of hell because it was hard. It was really, really hard.
Reflecting back to that period, what dots would you connect, looking at where you are today to where you were in that period of suffering and pain?
Yeah. The turning point for me was I was already emotionally, we had a really hard situation with DCFS is what we call it here, and some grandkids and some custody and some really, really challenging things. So, the mama bear, the grandma bear comes out. And so I look back and I think I wasn't that proud of my behavior either. But dang, you're messing with some babies of mine. And it's like, so, you do want to protect. So as I'm coming out of it, I ended up doing a hypnosis session, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm trained in hypnosis. So I asked my mentor and teacher if he would do one on just my near-death experience, which we call NDE. And I said, I feel like I'm writing a book. I knew I was supposed to write a book and it's done now. But then I was writing the book and it was like I needed to have, out of integrity, I felt like there were gaps in my story that were missing, that information was withheld for probably a good reason. And I needed to put that together for the book out of integrity. So we do this, and what was amazing was one of the messages. Well, in my life review, I'll just share real quick. In the life review, I only saw good. And I was in such a positive place, in the near death experience that why would I think to ask for anything negative? I mean, those thoughts don't even enter your mind where I was. So I thought about it later and I thought, why am I only seeing good in my life review? I've done plenty of naughty things like that. I wondered. So in the hypnosis session, I revisited that and I asked, why am I only seeing good? And I didn't ever see God, but I heard him plain as day. And he said, I'm showing you the good because that's what matters. And I thought, you bet. I mean, what a God of love. That is what matters. The good we do is what matters. And so that's what we were focused on. And I love that part. And then he gave me a message in the hypnosis session, the message that if I would have remembered the words before, I wouldn't have went through that 2 years. I know it. But I needed to for the future things that I'm creating and what I needed to see to help me create things and the philanthropy that I'm doing in the future. And the words were love them where they're at. And those words are so simple, but it takes the judgment away if you think about it. And if I would have reacted so much different remembering that message, and I needed to have that experience. So it's like and then he told me there too. He said, "More will be revealed to you when the time is right." And normally I want to know everything, now. I'm a now person. And I was such peace with that because it was like, okay, cool. And I look back and I think I would not have been able to handle everything I've learned in the past 4 years since then if I would have known it all at once. Like that would have been so overwhelming for my nervous system, just with my health issues. I know that. And it's like, wow, we are gifted our gifts and things in a timely manner for when it's perfect for us. And we have to believe that. We have to know that. And I don't know if I really knew that before. I do now.
Yeah. And you have to have that time to process that information, that message. I
Yeah.
think it's so big a message, this loving, kind, compassionate God, as opposed to what religion often teaches us that God is a punishing God. God is not a punishing God. There is no punishing God.
We punish ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very true.
Obviously, you have schooled your intuition since then. In what way has your intuition now taught you how to process life's challenges?
Well, I felt pretty blessed because before I call it the gift of knowing. And we all have gifts. We're all good at things. And if people that have that, they usually get asked in their life all the time, like, how do you know that? You'll say something, how do you know that? You don't know how you know that. You just know that. And so that's the gift of knowing. And for me, that's definitely been turned up. I feel like for probably 3 years after, I really pushed it down. I really feel like the gifts were there, but I was just, I was working on all this stuff. I had the health issues. It was just like, not now, So I feel like this last year, I really opened up to all the possibilities and being open to whatever is going to be is going to be and acceptance. And I knew about summer last year in 2025 that I needed to finish my book and it needed to be done on 11/11. 11/11 is very significant in the story. 1111. If you go look up the number, if you're wondering what that is, it's a very good number. And it showed up a lot in my story and my miracles. I had so many miracles to the whole story before, during, and after. And I knew that had to be my date. So everything stopped. Didn't have it was my 17th book, so it has 17 chapters. And I knew it needed to be a spiritual book. I didn't have none of my books were spiritual. And but personal development is so important to me. And so I made it the first part is, my story and the spirituality of things. And then the second part is personal development and all the lessons I learned within the SHIFT acronym. And it's called Near Death Shift. And so I'm really proud that I listened. And while I was writing it, I was just in such a great spiritual place that I got a whole new business idea. And I was not looking for another company. I have 11 startups and, I was still working on the ones that I've been working on. And it was related, it was retreat related, and it was International Retreat Association is what we ended up incorporating in December. And there, with 2 to 3 million retreat leaders, there's not an association for them to belong to for professional standards and set values and this whole ecosystem of retreats, which is 363 billion by 2029. So it's not going away. If COVID taught us anything, it taught us that people want connection, they want community. So that's my focus now. I was just like, whoa, that kind of like blindsided me. I thought, oh, and then I knew everything else needed to kind of sit on the back burner and my focus needed to go here. And we're just right in the midst of it now.
Yes, I think there's definitely a need for that. But take us through your shift framework, which you call surrender, hope, intuition, faith, and transformation.
Yeah. My favorite part is that the bookends are surrender and transformation because I think you can't have one without the other. And surrender really needs to be our first thing that we need to realize you don't have all the power, right? You can create it, but like nobody does it alone. Ask anybody that's successful, whatever success means to them. To me, success is an easy definition. It's happy. That's what it is for me. And so it's like, yeah, what kind of help, what kind of surrender do you need to give to your next step? And just knowing that it's okay to not have all the answers. It's like you don't need to know the how, you need to know the people who know the how. Especially if you're a leader or you are an entrepreneur, you don't have to have all the answers. Your hands don't need to be in all the pots because that's
Yeah,
messy.
I think that's an important point because you need that humility to say, well, this is my core competence, this is what
Yeah.
I can do well, and this is what I don't do well. I need help in that sector.
Yes. And surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. When you're the smartest one in the room, what are you learning?
Yes.
It's ego. It's all ego if you're the smartest one in the room all the time. So go to rooms that you are the dumbest one in the room so that you can learn and grow.
Yeah, to challenge you first and foremost, I think. And now, in this season of your life, what legacy of faith, courage, and purpose would you want to leave behind? And what would you urge people listening today not to postpone any longer?
Okay, first of all, the last part, the need to always be right. It's okay to not know everything, and it's okay to surrender and let things play out how they're supposed to. Don't fight everything that you're going towards. For me, this whole lesson was a lesson in purpose because I could not have told you, I'm in my 50s, and I could not have told you my purpose. And I had lots of people, lots of coaches over the years. I've paid lots and lots of money for to say, oh, I can help you figure that out, blah, blah, blah. No. It's within. It's you. You're the only one that can figure it out. You can get help. You can have people educate you or coach you and give you ideas, but until you go within and really know it within every being of yourself that it's right and it's something you're supposed to do, it becomes for me, it goes from just a purpose to a calling. Now it becomes, it's so much more real. And some people go their whole lives never really feeling like they have a purpose. And some people, it's right in front of them and they just don't see it. Their blinders are on and they don't realize that's their purpose. Maybe it is to be a mother and raise children that become great, successful people in the world and do great things. Maybe that was your purpose. Do
Yes.
you think that was any less than being the president of the United States?
Or has it's just the small actions that have great resonance?
Yeah, I mean, they're just, a mom can be disliked by teenagers, but I think I'd rather be disliked by my teenagers than a whole country being the president and, being on the line for everything. It's like, I mean, that's a weird comparison, but I'm just saying sometimes people don't realize their purpose doesn't have to be big. It's big for them and it's big for the people in their lives that they're changing, but it doesn't, we're not all here to be the greatest in the world, right? If we were all leaders, then that would be weird. Like that would be an ego world. We need followers. We need teachers. We need all the different kind of career people that we have because I mean, not everybody can pull teeth and be dentists all day. I mean, what would that look like? Nobody'd have teeth. But just saying, there's just your purpose can just be so small.
Yes, and every human being is so unique and has such a unique purpose. I really want to acknowledge you, Holly, for your journey of resilience and for reminding us that these fragile moments can become the foundation of our greatest strength. And your story shows that surrender is not weakness, intuition is not irrational, and faith is a powerful leadership tool. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.